The following presentation is part of the Beyond the Blast Doors network. You've tuned into the Holochronicles.
You may fire when ready.
Hey, welcome into the Holochronicles. Andy.
What up, Josh?
What is going on?
I am super stoked for this episode.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. For real.
We're only doing two things. We're doing two things on this episode. And this is no offense to Paul Smith, but we're only going to briefly touch on the Show Me Your Collection that he posted up, or that he shared with us, I should say, on Saturday, because we have an awesome interview to get to, Josh.
Yes, we do. Like, one of my favorites. And I'll probably say that after every interview, but I have to be honest, more honest than I usually am. This was fun. This was a lot of fun. And I just want to sit and listen. And we try and keep our pods to a certain length, but man, I think we could have listened to this guy for a long time. And that is none other than
Mr. Gene Freeman.
Mr. Gene Freeman. Such a good interview.
He was super engaging and great storyteller. And we'll get to him in just a moment. But first, Josh, we gotta hit the collection here.
Yeah, we do, because it was beautiful. It was amazing.
Freaking amazing.
So tell me about it.
So I'm just pulling up a picture here so I can take a peek at it. So Paul Smith is a buddy of ours who is from the UK. He's from not Lesser Britain, but the Greater Britain.
The only Britain.
You can find him at Smiffy the Force. That would be at SMIFFYTHEFORCE. And he's been collecting, he says, for about the last 15 years. And I love that he said this too. And I quote from him here. He said he's been collecting more of the vintage items because that's where the memories are at, right? Which resonates with you and I too.
Right.
Being of a certain age, I should say.
Right.
And so I think that applies no matter what age you started into Star Wars or you got hooked on Star Wars. That is where your memories are at. For Paul, it's with that original, 1977 to 85 era of Star Wars. And this is all in his dining room.
Okay, thank you for clarifying, because I saw the chairs, the dining room chairs, but man, the picture that's on the screen right now, if you're watching on YouTube, there is nothing like a Han and Carbonite. And our fellow BMBer, Trevor, has one, which looks as good as this. But I don't care where I see a Han and Carbonite, I immediately get like butterflies. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's 1-to-1. It's a full size. It's not just a little decal you put on your door. It's a dimensional 6-foot tall Han and Carbonite with LED lights and the old Volvo panels. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
So, that's just one thing. And this is in his dining room. I put on the post on Twitter. Please, by the way, go check it out at #ShowMeYourCollection. This is in his dining rom. This is like,
can you imagine family dinners?
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
You have your stuff at your house in your office, right? I have my stuff in my little man cave room in the basement. This is dining room. This is where people fellowship. And I have the utmost respect for that. Because it's presented so in such a cool way. Like there's Star Wars posters and there's a lit up lightsaber in between each of the posters. He has a little shelf area where he's got all of his boxes or his boxed vintage Star Wars items, which is pretty cool. And then he's got three buckets, he's got 3 helmets there that are just like movie quality. And then the artwork that he has some Star Wars art pieces. And they're lit up, like gallery style.
No, that's gallery style. Look at the molding on the top plus the upward lighting. I mean, oh man, I love it.
It's beautiful.
Look at that.
It's truly beautiful.
Is that Rogue One? The TIE fighters flying into the sun. Oh man.
Yeah. The Apocalypse Now shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's so good. And then that's Rogue One too. A little bit of streaming over the water.
No, that's Force Awakens.
That's Force Awakens. Okay.
Yeah. That's Poe. But yeah, he's got
look at the AT-AT
Vader and a
AT-AT helmet. Oof.
Yeah. So in corresponding with them, I asked them what is, just like I ask everybody, what's your favorite items? And that's such a cool picture right there, Josh.
Right.
Of his boxed items and his couple of carded figures.
That's normally where like some china that you never use would go, or like, the platter for only on Thanksgiving. But instead, he's utilized his space. Yeah, the gravy boat. But instead, we have this beautiful use of space through Star Wars vintage boxes. And one of those boxes has like the Imperial shuttle in it. That's, what is that? $1,500?
It's right. It's never been opened.
Maybe more.
It's complete in its box, and he's got them in acrylic cases too, which is
even more,
which is awesome. Yeah. And so he said that was probably his favorite, in a room that has like a sweet AT-AT driver helmet and a full scale Han Solo and Carbonite, his favorite item in there is an unopened Imperial shuttle.
Yeah.
Right. So like, this is, I've said the word beautiful, right? When looking at Paul's collection, it's beautiful. It's not that he has a ton of items.
No,
but the items that he has are deliberate, and they're displayed with intention, and they're in, like, everything's in perfect shape, which you would expect if you're going to put it in your dining room, right? Like, this is a nice room in the house.
Look at the Greeblies on Solo. I mean, they're all lit up. It's just, man.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm envious of that clarity, kind of that focused clarity, where you don't have to have everything. You don't have to even have, and now I think Paul probably has a room with a bunch of other stuff, but this is what is selected for this very important room, which is, like you said, a place of fellowship where family gathers and eats dinner, hopefully once a month at least. And hell yeah.
Yeah. So he had 2 items that he kind of went back and forth between on his favorite. One of them was the unopened Imperial shuttle box, and the other one was the boxed AT-AT. And the box has been opened. However, the AT-AT it's never been put together, or the decals have never been put on it. The inserts, it's still resting within the inserts, and like the canopy and the chin guns are still in their little plastic baggies. So it's been opened, but it's never been assembled, right? It's still pristine. And so he kind of went back and forth between those 2 things being his favorite. And I don't blame him. Like, those are excellent. The boxes are in great shape. I mean, like, I don't even know how you find stuff like this, but man, it's something to behold. So thank you so much for sharing, Paul. It's a wonderful, beautiful, deliberate, intelligently displayed collection. So,
and thank your
well
significant other for allowing you to, I mean, it's a sacred room. The dining room is a sacred room. So to be able to put in, you know, the love of Star Wars as the focal point, obviously, is really cool. And I would be honored to have they don't do Thanksgiving in the UK. They
don't do Thanksgiving.
To have drive on the wrong side of the road day in UK at your dining room. That's all.
Well, good news, Josh, because he invited us. He said if we're ever over there, we are welcome to share a meal with him.
Happy drive on the wrong side of the road day.
That seems like as good a reason as any. And what I also, and I kind of have noticed this lately too, and this is a shout out to our fans, our UK fans, especially
Bonjour.
our followers, our followers, but like this is getting close to 100 likes and like 16 retweets.
Yeah.
And
well, why wouldn't
we've had, you know, 3 or 4 show me your collections now in a row too, that, you know, are getting some eyeballs on it. And that is a testament to our followers. Thank you, followers.
Thank you. And
then B, a testament to the collections that these people have that are just like, man, like I think of like Andrew Blatz, I think of Scott Kinney's, you know, I think of Mr. Chris Lee's, you know, and now Paul's. And so I couldn't be happier posting these every Saturday and people getting to see them and comment on them. And the comments are a wonderful read too. And I know the people that are sharing their collections really get some enjoyment out of the interaction. So
thank you.
I
think we're starting to move here. We're starting to look, this show me your collection kind of started as us maybe trying to scope in on a collection that maybe we could get some stuff from. I'm just kidding. But, I really like the movement right now, the movement of people enjoying it. It's just so cool. So I'm not going to talk too much because we did it last time, but thank you for sharing, continue to share, retweet. I mean, this is powerful stuff. People have put a lot of time and effort and you're getting a sneak peek into their homes and their love.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Well, thanks, Josh. We now get to share the interview that Josh and I sat down with Mr. Gene Freeman, Hollywood actor, stuntman, and he played a role in a little TV show we like to call The Mandalorian. So
never heard of it.
Without further ado, I'll get into a proper introduction here. We already recorded the interview earlier. Please sit down, carve out a little time here. Gene was awesome to talk to, and he was so engaging. So, Josh, without further ado, let's get to the interview.
Yeah, new friend of the show, Gene Freeman.
All right, today's guest on the Holochronicles podcast is a Hollywood actor and stuntman, man of all trades. He's done a little bit of producing and directing as well. You may have seen him on Henry Danger Kids Show, which my family really enjoys. Perhaps you may have recognized him as O.J. Simpson in the movie Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson that recently came out. He's done some creature acting, most recently in Puka Lives. But what really put Gene Freeman on our radar was that he was the stunt double for Carl Weathers in season 1 of The Mandalorian. Welcome to the show, Gene Freeman.
There he is. There he is. Apollo Creed II.
Man, they called me Carl Jr. on set. It was Carl Jr.
Carl Jr. I like it. I like it.
That's so cool.
I like the burger, so it worked out.
Well, welcome to the show, Gene. We really appreciate you taking a little time and hanging out with us for a little bit, talk a little Star Wars, and to get to know you a little bit here. We are a Star Wars fan and collector podcast, and so what I would like to start with you is going back.
Okay.
As a kid, Gene.
Okay.
What was your first experience with Star Wars? What got you on the radar to the science fiction worlds?
I would say the first thing was movies. My parents played the first Star Wars movie, was epic. I mean, changed my life. And then for Christmas, they got me like this, the Millennium Falcon and a bunch of the other characters. I had like Chewbacca, and then like my mom was like doing voices with the and all that stuff. And it was just really having a lot of fun with that. And we just watching the movies. And so then like she would like have us like take rooms, and we were just playing around and doing little things and just enjoying stuff. So it was like really the movies and then just the toys from there. That was my first experience.
So your mom was playing Chewbacca?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was great. It was great.
That's awesome.
Like, oh yeah. Man.
It sounds like you got an awesome mom.
Man, one of the best. One of the best. For sure.
So you grew up as a Star Wars fan, like many of us that you know that are podcasting and are within earshot of this podcast, especially. What's your favorite Star Wars movie then?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would have to say Empire Strikes Back.
Woo!
That would probably be no. I take that back. Return of the Jedi, because when he came back, he was so badass. It was Return of the Jedi. That was yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you, Gene. I was a Return of the Jedi. I think that's my favorite movie because it's the one I got to see in theaters when I remembered it. I'm a bit older than you are, Gene.
I can only imagine what that would be like to watch like the older ones in the theater when they came out. I can only imagine.
Here's what I remember. My brother, who was, I think I was 5 or, I was like 7 or 8. My brother was like 5. At the end of the movie during the credits, you run down and we were fake sword fighting in front of the crowd.
This is like a cliffhanger.
In front of the crowd, man. Oh, am I?
You just stopped.
Oh, I stopped.
Right at the moment.
Dang it.
I'm still waiting.
Here we go. I'm back.
Yeah. Oh, I was like, and that was the end of the story. Okay.
No, at the end of the movie during the credits, we ran down and we did fake sword fighting with, imaginary swords. That's what I remember. Dope. That's not a good story after that delay. So anyway.
It was. I cried. You had me on the edge of my seat. I had to know what happened.
Big fan of Return of the Jedi, though.
That was really good.
Josh and I are the same age, so we both remember Return of the Jedi in the theater, and so that was kind of the first our first movie going experience.
You're kind of in the neutral zone, though. Like you were born after the trilogy. But not like super young for the prequels.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It's weird. How'd you feel about the prequels?
I mean, you know what? I get what they were doing with it. I like how Darth Vader was before I knew his backstory, because it's like now you kind of feel sorry for them. And I liked how you didn't have that. You was just that guy, and you're just like, oh man. But to go back in his story, I did like the part though when Anakin was like, I killed everyone. this one, I was like, dang, like Anakin, like I killed the mother, the kids. Like I was like, he killed the kids. He's like, I'm getting everybody. Anybody can get this saber work. Anybody. So I kind of like that part.
Poor Tusken
So you like
Raiders.
the bad guys being bad?
Yeah, yeah, for the most part. If you kind of reveal, something like, they give it like that anti-hero, whatever, or like how Thanos was. I loved his character. Like he believed what he was doing was right, from beginning to end. Killmonger, same thing. So the only thing about with Darth Vader, kind of felt like you kind of gave us something that was like, that's how he went that far with it. And he became a puppet and then just started killing everybody. And then, so it kind of took me out of it a little bit, but
yeah. Well, so then fast forward into high school. When did you start kind of thinking that maybe you were going to pursue a career that would take you down the acting or the entertaining roles?
That's a good question. You know what? It was during the time my parents had the comic book store. I knew that just being around all that stuff, and then like sometimes you're going to conventions. You're going to these warehouses where they have all these comic books and artwork, and you just get to see all these ideas. And that was like the first thing I was like, I'm going to draw. I'm going to draw for like Disney or something. And I remember like tracing all the time. Like I was tracing, there was the Ninja Turtles. It was like, I was always tracing them. I wasn't actually drawing them myself, but I just kept tracing them over and over again. So I had like a book full of tracings of Ninja Turtles. And I was like, I'm going to really go far with this. And then this guy, his name was Rodney. My mom had him doing some artwork for us at the store. And he was like, you're not drawing, you're tracing, you're copying. He's like, take the moment to try it yourself. See what you're capable of. Like, look at it, but put your own spin on it. And I was like, okay, I'll rise to the challenge. I'll see, you know. So I started drawing, and I didn't realize anything about, because you're a kid, you're not thinking about muscle memory and all that stuff. And I drew them so much that I could draw the shapes and like really get in there and like really draw them without actually tracing. That kind of like got me into it. With the artwork. And then like in school, I got nominated for most creative because I drew like Spawn, Todd McFarlane, his character from Image Comics. I drew a lot of that stuff. Jim Lee with X-Men. And I was just drawing. And then like my mom let me draw like the business card for the store. So I drew Storm on, you know, it was like, and they had like this neon sign that would be posted up. So it was like, I'm in these spaces where I'm like, okay, I'm really going to get into this drawing thing. And I was a shy kid though, so I didn't know how to, and I lived like in a predominantly white neighborhood, so like I didn't get to interact in the way that I normally thought that I would. And so like just being in that space of seeing different things culturally. And so like, I'm like, oh, this is cool to do. So like, I'm just drawing and I'm taking this in and like, but I'm not making friends. And I remember going to Chicago and do like a flag if I'm going too long.
No flags.
I'm in Chicago.
No flags, Gene. You just keep talking, man.
Awesome. So I'm in Chicago. It's a cold day. It was winter. No, I'm just kidding. I'm in Chicago. Thank you. I'm in Chicago, and you know how on the bus it's systematically set up like all the cool kids are in the back, all the non-cool kids are in the front, or they need assistance. That's just how it is. And then the ones in the middle or whatever. I was right next to the bus driver, so that just shows you how uncool I was. And how mean kids could be. And I remember they were playing music at the Chicago Museum, and this song came on, and it was like Shy, one of those R&B groups from the 90s. And I remember I hit the note. It was like a high note in the song. And I'd sing this all the time at home, like, because my mom was a singer. My brothers were singing, but like the Jackson 5-1. So we're like always doing music and stuff. And I didn't think anything of it. But when I hit the note, everyone turned and looked at me like, who the hell, where'd that come from? And then, so from that moment, I went from the front of the bus all the way to the back. And so I became the cool kid instantly. And I was like, oh, this is great. So I stopped drawing. It's like, I'm gonna start singing. I was like, I'm gonna just start singing. And I started getting into music. And then like my brother was singing. So then now we're doing shows at the school. And people are like, oh my gosh, you're singing Boys and Men. And like the ladies are like, he's so awesome. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this all the time. Like, I'm in class and girls are sending me notes. Could you sing this song? So I'm singing like Babyface and all these other songs. And then I remember, we going to New York and we went to like Studio 54. And then we're like, so it's like now like I'm getting traction in this realm. And then we like 2003, we released our first like mixtape compilation CD from like some of the best people in our city, and we're like just making music. Yeah, and it's like,
and where can we find that, Gene?
Yeah,
that CD is not existent because that was the CD era. There was no, but I do have music on my SoundCloud, but it's like it's just me. But at that time,
no, where's that? I want that. What's that? How do you find it on SoundCloud?
Everything is under Gene Freeman.
All right.
Everything's under Gene Freeman.
SoundCloud,
Yes.
Gene Freeman.
Gene Freeman Jr.?
Yeah, not Gene Freeman Jr. You know, I had to add the Junior because there's someone at SAG who had Gene Freeman, and then my ex was like, well, why don't you just put a Junior at the end? And I was like, well, why don't I just put a Junior at the end? Because that's just a great idea. And yeah, so that's where that came from. So yeah, just the music, man. I just followed the trail, kept going, having fun. And then we ended up getting ready to come to LA. And it was like 4 of us in a car, in 2 cars. And we traveled and we're like, we just kept going from there. We're selling our CDs on Hollywood Boulevard, and someone said, "You guys should go to Central Casting." And we're like, "What's Central Casting?" And then like we learned like that's background, and then so we sign up. And I remember we called the call line, and they're like, "Yeah, we're looking for 2 AAs, and if you're willing to show yourself naked in the scene, to insinuate that you've been sodomized." And we're like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna do that one. I'm gonna hold off. That's a little too soon."
It's a good career move.
Yeah, it was like you go from music this way, now you turn this way. I just didn't want to do that and have that conversation.
You want to get typecast.
Yeah, I didn't want exactly because you do one, you got to do another one.
Yeah,
they're gonna want you to do another one.
Oh, geez.
So you only get one out of me.
That's
one,
right.
and
use
so
that for the end of your career. All right,
exactly. You're like,
that. Yeah.
Nothing's left. I got to go this way. I gotta get them to talk about me again. And so through Central Casting, that opened the door to a lot of cool stuff. Like they were really cool because like they got me on Die Hard, free Die Hard, and I almost got Taft-Hartley on that. I got to work on Hancock. I got to be at the Playboy Mansion and doing the stand-in work. I got to work on Scandal, being a stand-in. So it was like I got to be in places and learning the business and hearing the terminology. And I was just like, I know I'm supposed to be here because like everything's just flowing. So it didn't matter whether I was singing, drawing, dancing, acting, stunts, like it all just was entertainment to me. So, and that's what got me in it. So,
okay. So I'm hearing that your family's a big influence on you.
Yep.
They're a very creative bunch. It sounds like a fun household growing up. Not only are you in the comic books, but you're singing, you're drawing, you're performing. That sounds like a great way to grow up and just kind of foster that creativity within you. Yeah. That's cool, man. So real quick, favorite superhero? Who's Gene's favorite superhero? Is it Deadpool? I see the shirt.
I do like Deadpool. Yeah, you know what? That's a tough one. How do I do this? Who's my favorite? It depends on because like anti-hero, Venom, and then I like Wolverine. So, it's between those two. Those are my favorite.
Okay.
Those are my favorites.
Okay. And then, so you're doing a lot of, you're performing, you're singing, you're dipping your toes in the acting world. When does stunting become something that you pick up?
Is that what we call it? Stunting?
That doesn't sound like the right word.
That's not like one of those old 2000 terms. Like we're out here stunning.
We're out here stunting.
Yeah, we're out here stunning you. Yeah.
As soon as I said it, I immediately thought of cheerleaders throwing each other in the air and stuff like that. So I know that's not what I was going for. So,
when I got into stunts,
stunt performance, I guess.
Stunt performance, yes, you could say stunt performance. That's cool. Stunting works too. I'm not that anal about it. I think what got me into that was. I was in my car and it's crazy how you always have that I was in my car story. Like me personally, I had no plans of being in my car. There's no point in my plan that I was like, I'm gonna be in my car for like 9 months. That was never supposed to be the case. I was not that guy. Like I was like, skip that out. I'll work, I'll sell CDs. I mean, I'll strip for the elderly on the weekends, but me sleeping in my car is not gonna be a thing. But I was in my car, oddly enough, for about 8 or 9 months.
Wow.
And yeah, that's
in LA.
In LA, yes. Yeah. As an adult, that was that was a tough one. But it was during that time for me where I got my first opportunity really to be on a show. I got to double for Method Man. And shout out to Billy Washington for that because he saw something in me and gave me an opportunity when, he didn't have to. But I will also give credit to my buddy, Josh Tessier. He had me come out and, because he knew my brother, Chris J, and he was like, hey, man, you're cool. I like your energy. If you're not hold a gun, okay, get shot, fall back. And I was like, okay. And, I had a couple improv lines. And, I just took the reaction. And then from there, I started hearing things on Facebook about where to train. And my thing is, I don't want to suck. My brother, he knew a lot of people from the stunt community ahead of time, because while I was in like Atlanta and Watts, he was still in Hollywood. He was still like in like the Hollywood area, and so he was able to train like at Bob Yorkie's. He was able to go to Gymnastic Olympica and learn these and start learning a lot of the stuff. We lost one. Oh my gosh!
I'm still here, Gene. Keep going, man.
Oh, okay, all right. And so because of that, just being in that space, I was able to pick up a lot of cool stuff and make friends and from there, like just really start picking people's brains on stuff. And I was like, well, I know the action that I want to do. And I've been on enough sets to hear people talk about like actors who don't know how to do something because they know their part. They know how to do the deliver and make you believe. But sometimes they don't have the physicality because they just don't study for it, or they don't ever have enough time. A lot of times production want to save money, but they don't want to put the money in the prep. And that's where a lot of it should be, is in the prep. So I was like, well, you know what? Let me go ahead and be ahead of the game and start learning this, because I know this is going to translate later to that. And so I just want to be that much fluid in learning how to react, learn how to, whether it's shooting guns, whether it's learning how to fall, save yourself, being able to do something more than 30 times, like on the bigger budget films, like you might do it as many times as it takes. And if you don't have that built up in you, it's really suck for you down the road, because no one's going to tell you to your face that, you sucked. They're just going to be like, You know what? You just don't get that call back, So, and another thing I liked about the stunt aspect was there was no stuntman for the stuntman. You had to have those skills. You had to have that mindset coming in for the job. And the pressure is different. And I was like, I really want to be familiar with this pressure. It's like being on stage. And I equated it to that. Like, you want to go on stage, you want to hit your marks, you want to engage with the crowd, you want to be able to do your thing without thinking about it. And so that's what made me really start, taking the time out, learning those things, learning the dance, because it's not like a real fight. It's literally learning how to dance. And then, so from there, that just really kind of got me into it.
So there's definitely some choreography going on.
Oh yeah, it's there's no surprises. Like you might train and then some things might be on the fly, but for the most part, it's like when you go in, if you've had the prep, like a perfect example, like the guys at 8711, they are Chasowski and David Leach. They have like the best format, which is you spend 6 months with your actor, prep them up, build them up, and learn what they're good at, and then have them excel in that, so they're that much better on camera. And then it was like, that just makes you love the performance that much more. You're engaged, you're focused, you're not thinking about it. And it's like, it's no surprises, except for the surprise of if a person says, okay, we did that sequence, now we're gonna do like sequence 3 here, and we're gonna add this slash here, and we're gonna do this, but you've already done it, so you can work it, and that's just, I took that ideology and took it to heart and applied it to everything else.
So interesting.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a lot of work too, right? So you just said something that was really interesting. 6 months with your actor. What do you mean by that? Okay,
so like if you ever like check out like Chad Stahelski, he talks about a lot of stuff on some of the recent podcasts. And he's the one of the directors for like the John Wicks and stuff. And he doubled for Keanu on The Matrix.
Okay.
And he talks about like when they did The Matrix, they had like a year.
Oh, we lost him. Oh, we're all losing. Is that just
up to a certain level? And then like anything that's too dangerous or whatever, you could then, obviously put your stunt double in or whatever, but they'll have enough knowledge and confidence when they're on a set, to go do these things. And they're not thinking about it. If you watch Chris Hemsworth in the latest Extraction, you could tell what the moves they drilled. Like you saw the previs of what, the stunt performers come up with, and then they work it with the actor. So it's like you take let's say what if you guys look athletic, Josh, what's something you do athletic? Like you box, do you
yeah, I did football, I do softball, I do golf. I mean, that's
okay. Okay. So football. So what I would do is build off of that. So you obviously know how to take a hit. So you know how to move, you know about lateral movements, you know about this. So I would customize a lot of our workouts and then training the way I would make it so you would understand and get you used to doing certain things. Like, okay, we don't necessarily have to tackle the person, but you could do this. Or working on hooks, working on swings, and learning about angles. So you feel comfortable, so you're not hesitant, to do whatever it is required of you. And like hands, like some people, like they've never been in a fight, but so how do you convey that on camera? Because what you think you're doing in your mind and then what the camera sees might be totally two different things. You might think you're Jackie Chan or Jet Li, and you're not. You're like, Smeagol or somebody, and you're like, no, man, that wasn't it. So you have to get used to knowing what your angles are, and then not just angles, but understanding like the story behind what you're doing. Like, why is your character doing this? So if, John Wick is a good example. What they focus on: judo, firearm training, jiu-jitsu, plus he had an accident. So it's like, well, he can't do a lot of kicking because he's at a certain age and it just looked way better on camera. So what did they focus on? They gave him some strength. So like, okay, so we're going to give you 6 months of gun training. You're going to learn training. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. So we like embed these things in you. And then the more you progress and then as the person who's training you, they can see that. It's like, okay, you know what? Josh is the football guy, so I know he can do this. He has no problem tackling the guy. He has no problem. Andy, what about you? What's some?
He's a hoop master.
Hoop master. Okay, so are we talking about basketball?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know what? So then we're going to focus on a shot. We're going to make sure we're going to incorporate this in his movements. So we're going to build on your strengths, the
That's
things you feel comfortable with. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about
there's a lot of actors.
Thumb wars? If
you know what? Hey man, we got to work. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. I declare.
Hey, you know what? We got to make it work.
There's a lot of actors that think they can shoot a basketball that look like they've never shot a basketball.
Exactly. And because you shoot basketball, you're able to look at that person like they don't shoot basketball. They've never played basketball.
I think this is like a perfect segue into the Mandalorian here because,
sure.
All the things that you're talking about are like super interesting. And I'm sure at different points you've had to do your own trainings and versions of those things too, because that's what you do. Yeah. So first of all, how do you get pegged to work with Carl Weathers or be in the Mandalorian? And then what do you do to train to be Carl Weathers? Because he's a guy he's
Apollo Creed, man. He's Apollo Creed.
He's Apollo Creed, but he's a guy he's a bit older than you, so his movements aren't going to be like a 20-year-old, and as far as like build wise, are you guys of a similar build? I would have to think so.
Yeah.
So yeah. Talk about that. I feel like I keep asking questions, but go ahead.
No, that's good. So how did I prepare to be to his double and
how did you get the job? Like how did
Ryan Watson? Ryan Watson. Ryan Watson was the coordinator on that one. He brought me in. Thank them. I need to send him a bottle. Man, that was such a rush, and I was so grateful because. That call came out of nowhere. When he called, he texted me, and I was like, "Hey man, how's it going?" Because I've known him like from a project that I helped him with. It was called Zombies versus Transgenders or something like that, and they needed a guy. I was brought in for camera work to be AAC, thanks to Wayne Douglas, and. Then there was like a spot where they needed a guy to play a bouncer, and they were like, "Hey, do you mind doing it?" And I was like, "What do I got to do?" And he's like, "Oh, just act like you're gonna look at IDs and throw somebody." I was like, "I can do that," and so I did that. And like 3 years later, or something like that, give or take, he hits me up and he's like, "Hey, man, I was editing the film and I needed a double for Carl Weathers, would you mind working on this film? And I was like, yeah, or on this project. And I was like, sure. And then he was like, he sent like in the text, he said something Star Wars. And I was like, something. That kid was like, wait, whoa. Wait a minute. I'm a professional, but I'm about to geek out. And I was like, okay, I just want to make sure I understand what you're asking me here. Normally you don't do that. Normally you just like, oh, okay, great. Keep moving. Not with Star Wars. You have to ask the question, when you say Star Wars, what are we referring to? And sure enough, he was like, yeah, man, it's they're doing a TV show and we like to, bring you in and, you're going to do a couple of things. And I was like, great. And I said, I'm sold. Yeah, me at Star. I don't even know the rest. I'm in. And the rest was history in that regard. As for being his double and the stuff they needed me to do, that was already something I was already training. And that's the thing, like with when it comes to the side of stunt, they're all the ones who are really, really great, the ones who are like, always working, doing like show runs. Perfect example, like Lateef Crowder, he's always training. He's always training his martial arts. He's always training his workouts. He's always like, you have to already be ready. There's none of that like, okay, I'm gonna go get ready. It's like either you have it or you don't. And when they wanted me to do was this guy got put on a ratchet. Shout out to Joe Perez, man. He's an amazing rigger. Every time I see him on a set, to yank me out of this spaceship. Okay. I've never been yanked out of it. I've never been yanked out of a spaceship before. I can honestly say that's a first for me.
Me neither,
Andy, are you there?
No, keep going.
Air rams and things that you'll get a sense of how it is on set. And, you're constantly drilling those things. Shout out to my buddy, Joe Ordez, because he's a really big guy. He works on like Mayans and he's an actor, but he started out with stunts and he's an amazing performer. Like he can do things in the air and he's like bigger than me. He's like 6'3", bald head, big guy, but he knows his body. And that's the biggest thing is, when you're learning these gags is training your body to be prepared. Because when you're on set, you already got cameras everywhere. You got people saying stuff, and then especially when you go on a set like that, first of all, to walk on that set, I thought I was walked on, like, you ever seen Armageddon, guys? Anyone seen Armageddon?
Oh yeah.
So the scene where they're like looking, they had those satellites and they would see everything. That's what it felt like, seeing all that. And then you see these big panels. You see the panels change. It's like green screen, but like on acid times 20. And I'm just like, whoa. And then there's like the cockpit, and you're seeing the spaceship. And you're just like, whoa. And then you forget that you're working a job, because every time you're like, whoa. And like, I mean, the detail. I mean, I'll touch on it in a minute, but just to be in all that. And then they're like, okay, now we're going to get ready for your part. And so you got to mimic what he's doing. So I'm talking to Carl and getting a feel for him, because again, I'm trying to mimic what he's doing because I need to match. I don't want to, and I'm not trying to outshow him. I'm not there as an actor in the sense of this way to come down for you. What are you doing? And I'm looking on the camera like, and then that's also school for me, because as an actor, I get to watch his performance. And I'm like, yeah, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And you hear his voice, he says these things and you're just like, okay, and now I'm supposed to do this. And so we did a test on the side to see how I was going to land. And they're like, okay, so when the ratchet takes you, don't fight it. it's going to take you. There's nothing you can do. I get yanked out that thing 30 feet back. So I'm like going like this, and I hit the mat, hit the mark, got it. I've never known that the human body has parts that can constrict. Like my butt did this thing. It's tighter than it's ever been. I didn't even know the butt could get that. I mean, I could have probably created a diamond. How tight my butt was. I mean, I was like, and I had to play it off like, okay, and one more. Okay,
my butt's fine. My butt's fine.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
It's a stunt butt. Don't worry about it.
It's a stunt butt. No farting for like a month. Nothing's coming out. No secrets. It was, and to be in that space and to have like people around you, like the team, like you have to really trust the team because they're trusting you to do your job. And so like there's that unspoken word, like I got you. You do whatever you got to do. If you don't feel it, if you need a question, if you got to say something, whatever you got to do, say something now. And I thought that was so great to have that, that love and that camaraderie. When it came time to do it, I was ready to go. Like I was like, okay, boom, my butt's tight, but I can do it one more again. Like what are we gonna do? And and I got to do that. Yeah, it was.
That's fantastic.
So that first gag. Yeah.
So
actually, another thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Another thing that I just remember about that gag, because when they took me, and because you can't feel exactly where it's going, you just get yanked back. I remember on my bed, I came in and I dove because I saw my buddy Chris, and he did this move because he's like an amazing gymnast, and he did this move where he jumps in the air and he lands and he spins and he rotates, and I was like, I wonder if I can do that, and so I ran toward my bed, jumped, spun, and did this thing, and it felt very similar to what I needed to do on The Mandalorian. So all that preparation that you do outside, it's like outside of the gym. So when it's time to go, I just able to go. Like there's no time to like figure it out on the job.
That's so cool. That's cool. So what part was that when you got ripped out of the ship? What part of Carl?
Yeah, I think Mando. This is like after Mando has taken the baby and he's did this big shootout.
Yeah, with all the other Mandalorians, right? Yeah.
Yep. And Griff is like, he's like, you broke the code. Right. And then he turns around and the smoke goes, and then and I get shot back. And
did you hear that? Those are real sound effects from a stuntman from the set of The Mandalorian, right there.
Yeah, that used to get on. I used to get in a lot of fights growing up, and they would be like, "Did he just make a sound effect?" I used to throw people off because I would literally do that in a fight. So it was like destined.
That's so perfect.
How much did you get to shoot your scenes on that big panoramic screen?
Oh man,
were you a part of that at all, or were you like on set other places?
No, like I mean, they literally there was a couple other sets, but we spent a lot of time on that one. I got to because they needed like an insert, so I got to pick up Baby Yoda.
Oh my gosh. Tell me about that. Hey. Tell me about that doll.
Yes. For all the haters, yes, you can hate me.
There's no haters. There's
definitely somebody. I wish I could have grabbed Baby Yoda. Because you know these people
there will be a hater.
Baby Yoda. Yeah, there's those. Yes, it's okay. Live through me. This is the moment.
Here it is. I want to hear it. Go.
So Legacy Effects. I have a buddy there. They are amazing at the detail, the craft. I got to see them craft Iron Man, like the actual suit. There's no way I could have fit in that thing. Some of the dinosaurs, just the animatronics, the details to the hairs. I mean, they you can tell they just love what they do. Like there's some places you can just go and they love this. I hold little Baby Yoda. I don't even want. It felt so real, so heavy, and I knew this thing was like super expensive, and I felt the pressure. The puppeteers are like, don't pick him up too fast. The director's like, I want you to pick him up fast. So I'm like, I'm gonna listen to the director because they hired me and you guys. So is this okay? It was so cool. The eyes, the details. The ears could move, the mouth opened. It was just a magical experience. Like you forget that this isn't real. But to me, it was.
Oh my God, you're so lucky, Gene.
We had a moment.
Come on.
These hands did this.
We're talking to the right guy here, Josh.
Gene, I know. I'm jealous. So come on.
See, it's okay, man. I did it for everybody.
I'm a hater now. I'm a hater.
I knew it. It's okay. It's okay. I hated myself. I was hating myself. I had an outer hater experience.
Oh.
It was so cool.
So when you're on set, is there like a I would imagine, I have no idea, but I would imagine there's like a stunt director that you work with directly, and then he probably works with whoever the director for the episode is, or Favreau, or are you working with the lead director all the time? Like, how are you getting your orders from?
Okay, so they have the director. They'll have you'll have your you have your director, you have your AD, all those other setups. But it's the stunt coordinator. If it's a stunt, you have a stunt coordinator. If there's a fight, you have your fight coordinator. Your stunt coordinator tends to set up the gags of what's going to happen. That's, like you said, being ripped out of the airplane. If there's going to be explosions, if you're going to fall if you're going to fall off a building, those are like the bigger. That's for your stunt coordinator. If there's a fight, like hand-to-hand combat or kicks, like when you see Mando kicking a lot of ass and fighting like a whole bunch of people at one time, that's the fight coordinator. So, and they tend to work hand in hand sometimes.
Okay.
Ryan Watson and Sam. I cannot remember his last name, and I'm so mad because he is so cool, so down to earth. Those are the guys that were in my ears. Ryan mainly because it was stunt. I mainly got to do more on the stunt side when it came to the Mandalorian. So it wasn't a lot of fights for me. I wanted to fight. I so wanted to fight. He's like, man, you're good, man. You're good. You're doing your thing, man. I really appreciate it. I was like, if you ever need me for fights, I'm ready to fight, sir. And so, I just got to do the stunts. And so you only did parts with Carl. You weren't like an alien in another scene or anything like that. No. But I did get my time. I'll just say that. But it wasn't on this one. But I definitely, yes.
Okay.
Definitely got my time. And
Gene Freeman gets his time. That's what we need.
For those listening, because we want Gene to keep his job and to keep working, we're not going to ask him anything about season 2.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
We're now I'm a double hater. Double hater.
We're going to keep it pro. But that's just because we want to have him back on, and so we can talk about it again. Yep. So
yes.
Gene, official friend of the show.
Yes.
I'm tagging him. I just touched my screen. That does nothing.
I felt that.
Yeah, you feel it? There it is.
I felt the heat. He's using the
more sound effects.
See, sound effects with Gene go a long ways.
It does. Ladies love it.
They don't.
Hey, by the way, Boys to Men didn't work for me like that. I don't know what's going on.
You got to do it at karaoke. I remember singing at karaoke, and the dude was like, "Hey, man, just bring me on stage next time when you singing." Because the lady is like, "Oh my gosh!" And somebody actually did some draws.
Like, is it like Motown Philly, or are we bringing it down with?
No, it's got to be the "I Make Love You."
Hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
Gene, hit a note. Hit a note.
Oh, hit a note.
All right. Come on, man.
Here we go. I'm gonna do like Babyface. When can my heart beat again?
Love this song.
When does the pain ever end? When do the tears start from running over? When does your get over begin?
I can't get my underwear off. Hold on.
Yeah, it's all right. Take your time. Seriously. Take your time. Everyone, we're in quarantine. You got time.
That a boy. That's awesome.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Oh,
there you go, man.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. You got the chops to back it up. Look, this guy's good looking. He works in Hollywood. He can sing.
Thank you.
Triple hater. Triple hater.
I can. It's a testament to all the awesome people that I know, because so many people took the time out, to show me some things. They were crazy enough to see something in me. I mean, even you guys, the fact that you guys said, hey, I want to take some time out of my day just to chop it up with you. So, I mean, that's just a testament how blessed my life is, man. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we think this is pretty dang cool. This is like, this puts us, through your eyes, this puts us on set.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. That's all.
Yeah.
And this is like, for Josh and I, this is a fantasy. Like, man, what would it be like to be on set? It's like, well, we get to talk to Gene, who's been on set, who talks with these people and who gets to work with them. And that's pretty stinking awesome. And I will say, episodes, you could see Gene, if you look and you pay attention to the Grief Karga scenes, you can see Gene's in episode 1, 3, 7, and 8. And as I was telling you, Gene, those are probably my 4 favorite shows of the and it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence.
No, it's not.
The right guy here.
Tell me, I want to ask tell me about Mr. Weathers, because I happened to meet him at a con. And that guy was so cool. He was my favorite. He was my favorite meetup because, for one, I'm walking up because I grew up on obviously Star Wars, but then it was
meetup, and he's
gosh dang it, am I breaking up? I'm sorry.
Oh, not now. No, that was the third. That was all clear. I heard all of that.
All right. So I grew up on Star Wars, but obviously I grew up on Rocky, Apollo Creed. I've said that already, but Predator. I mean, all the amazing 80s films that guy was in. He was, and then I was starstruck. I had seen a couple other stars, but when I walked up on Carl, and I've never been starstruck before, meaning like, check it out, that's so and so. I feel fine, but when I walked up, I kind of like cotton mouthed a little bit, locked up.
Yeah.
And he looked down at my buddy's younger son. Walked up, and he was just like, "Hey, little man, how's it going?" And he like talked to him. And it was just a total icebreaker. So everyone relaxed. He's like, "You enjoying the show?" And he was so cool for that 1 minute I had with him. And so and he just was like, "Look, we know these guys go into cons, and hopefully you get to go to some cons and have some fun with fans." But these guys, it can be grueling, but he did not make it feel like we were a burden on his day, So how cool is that guy?
I mean, there's cool and then there's ice cold. I mean, he's just the coolest of the cool. He's such a great guy. I mean, when I first, I introduced myself, and he's like, he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I was like, "Hey, man." I was like, it got to a point where we were both dressed, and we were both in the same outfit, and I'm just looking. I'm like, and his forearm's way bigger. His forearm's huge.
No, he is jacked. He's still jacked, man.
Oh my gosh. Man, it's. I was like, okay, Carl, I'm going to the gym. Okay. he's like, "You're funny." I was like, "No, I'm serious. You can't have bigger forearms." And and
you can't be a stunt single, man. You have to be a stunt double. All right.
I gotta I gotta put both of these together and figure it out. And but he was so cool, man. It's like we talked, and it was no resistance. Like you said, it was like the coolest conversation. I've worked on a lot of films where sometimes the actor, you're not really. It's not like they're being a jerk or anything. You just don't necessarily. Maybe they're in a different space. Maybe they're doing their lines, whatever. And, just so that vibe just isn't there. But when you have it, it's like you recognize it. And I totally recognize those moments because we're talking about, stunts at first. And he was just like, he asked me about this, and we were talking about James Bond, the Casino Royale thing, when he's like, because he's like, when you go down the stairs, man, you could tell that person went down the stairs, and that hurt. That hurt. And I was just like, "Yeah, I don't do stair falls." And he was like, he's like, and then he said something about car hits. I was like, I've never been hit by a car either. And then he was like, "You don't get called much, do you?" I was like, "Actually, I do. I just don't get called for that because I don't do that." I was like, I'm very honest. And, you're gonna be like, "Yeah, I can take a stair fall." I've gotten a call. I told him, I was like, "I got called for a stair fall once. It's for Logan." And I was just like, "I've never done that." And I was like, "I'd rather be honest with you, as opposed to," I say, "Yeah." And then they show me the steps, and then that fall, and they'd be like, "You got to do it again, and again, and again." And I was like, "No, I've never done it." Never done. And so we talked about that. We talked about kombucha and how it's good for your stomach and the probiotics. I mean, we're talking, and I said, you know what, Carl? I was like, I had to say this, man. I was like, you've had some of the most iconic deaths in movie history.
Hell yeah.
Man. I was like, that. He's like, I'm gonna die. He was like, I'm done dying. I ain't dying no more. I'm tired of that shit. I was like, between that and the fights I got in school, I was like, I want to thank you because your movie Action Jackson, when you would say, now you done pissed me off, I would use that in the fight and I start winning. So I was like, I thank you for that. And he just started laughing and
with a lot of sound effects. So I mean,
I did. I was like, no, you pissed me off. He's just like, you really good at that. I was like, thank you. We talked about him in directing. I didn't know he's a director. And, we talked about him in directing. We talked about films. Cause like, again, I'm a student of acting. I was like, so what are you listening to? Or, what are you vibing with? And I was like, how's the training going? I was like, cause you're still looking like you could still box and throw. And he was like, yeah, it's like a train and this, that, and third. And he's like, but he's just such a humble guy. He always answered a question. He always posed questions on set. I always thought that was interesting. He's like, so I would do this and I wouldn't do that. And I was like, it was really cool to see why he made certain choices. And he was so respectful about what I brought to the table. It didn't feel like I was just like a piece of moving furniture. Didn't feel like that. Part of the process, and it was really like watching him and listening to him because he has a very commanding voice, and it's like you can hear him from. I was all the way at Crafty, and I could hear his voice delivering his lines. I was like, when you go into that, I was like, what was your mindset? Like, how do you project? And we talked about projection. We talked about him directing and acting because I was like, I've directed and acted, and I was like, but it's so hard. He's like, no, it's not. And I was like, you know what? It's not. I was like, you're right. He's the force right on me right then. I was like, it's not hard. What am I talking about? You know what? You're right. He's like, but he was, he's just like, I have that attitude of, I can do it. It's I could see his mentality, his wheels working and turning, and then he had no problem saying, hey, let him do it. It's okay. Like, it wasn't even like ego. It was like,
he's an impressive dude because like you said, a lot of times when you meet actors, obviously to be an actor, and this better than I do, you have to be able to put yourself in a different place. And sometimes that place doesn't have to do with who you are. But when you met Carl, that sense of kind of like, I don't know, just a command, but not a negative one or a powerful one. But just like he was so cool is the only word I can have. He's just so cool, and he's sitting there, and I know he's working a con. He's making a few bucks, but that's got to be a blast, by the way, to be able to be incorporated into the Star Wars con universe. I mean, and get your ass out there, Gene. You should be. I'll come get your freaking autograph anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Is how much it costs to be in our pod. So we're gonna charge you an autograph.
It balances out. It balances out.
No,
we're all about balance.
Is there any plan? Is there any plan to do that? I mean, is that on the radar for you?
After speaking with Dominic, because I mean, I got to meet him on Henry Danger and Danger Force, and I just saw like how he took a moment for himself and was able to just
launch it.
Yeah, like he really launched it. And I've had a couple other friends that worked on like films, and they did their thing, but it was their moment, and that moment was more than enough. So I don't see why I wouldn't be a part of that, at some point, whether now or in the near future. But I definitely see me being the person that's like at cons and, having, like I said, having those cool moments, talking to kids, talking to people for sure.
You're so personable. I think that you would take to it.
Yeah.
Like fans would really adore it. Fans of the genre, and then fans that really dig. And by dig, to get down to who's the stunt coordinator, who's the stunt guy, backing up. I mean, I think you'd love it, Gene. I think you need to be there, to be honest with you.
Thank you. I will. So
we'll be there.
Piloting.
I'll pay for my second autograph.
Yeah, we go. There we go. Because first was on the house. You guys are not. Baby, don't sit in the corner. They're dirty dancing. No,
that's
come
right.
on.
I got it. Baby, don't sit in the corner. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Not with me. Josh and Andy are good.
So I want to ask one more question. I don't know, Andy. Cool. I don't know. We don't have a time limit on this. So because you did cut out a little bit on the set stuff, which is okay. I just want to go back when you first walked onto a Star Wars set, and you were talking about looking up at the big screens. How about, were you ever in like some of the Tatooine, home village kind of area? Villages, for lack of a better word. Right.
There were the part where they do like the shootout. Yeah. That was a different stage. And that was dope. That was really cool to see, like the setup. Like, again, it's just, I mean, hats off to those people. They really created that world. I mean, when you got off of you might ride on a bus, but when you got off the bus, you felt like you were in the world. Like,
was that at Universal? Where was it?
No, that was somewhere. All I know that I can think of right now is because Avatar was being filmed certain parts in a similar studio. So I think I want to say like Manhattan Beach Studios, I think.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Out there.
I had just gone to Universal, and they had the whole, like 2 years ago, they had the whole Western area quarantined off, and they're like, there's a real big thing going on here, and we can't tell you about it. So I always thought maybe that was Mando when it came out. So I'm just checking. This is my own thing. Let's move on.
No.
I was wrong. Yeah. I was wrong.
I mean, you never know till you ask. So.
All right, I got a question for you here. If you're at craft services, there's one bagel left, and you're standing there staring at it, and so is Gina Carano. Who's getting that bagel?
Well, okay. Well, if it's just out of the niceness of my heart,
no.
Bitch. No. No, there's no niceness.
No niceness. To the finish.
You know what?
No gentleman Gene here.
Oh, no gentleman Gene. We're going for, you know what?
She's a bounty hunter, man.
She is. She's going to get it. She's gonna get it.
You're damn
she's
right
not gonna. She's not gonna get it easily, but she'll get it. She might get like one bite and be like, I can't feel the rest of my arms. Like, but she'll get the taste of victory.
Okay.
She'll get the taste of victory.
All right, fair enough.
And then I'm gonna get the rest.
Fair enough. I was super impressed with her on the watching the behind the scenes episodes and how she did most, if not all, of her own stunts. Am I right in saying that?
That's a good question. You know what? I think, and that's another thing too. I find interesting when anytime like there's a physicality, like with fighting, we instantly automatically put it in the stunt category. Like it's something totally different. So yeah, with her, I think, because I got to work with her in a different capacity. I didn't get to see all the fight stuff, but like the part where the baby does the thing, I don't want to ruin it for everyone, but with it's all dark and these things are attacking, and so there were some parts where I got to step in and be in spaces while they needed Carl to do other stuff, and so I got to spend some time with her, and she was so cool. And, I got to have this moment where I had my hand like on her thigh or something. And
that's a good moment. That's a good moment. Man.
That was a very good professional moment. And I just, I was like, and then she just put it right there. It's like, and I was like, okay, listen, now I'm glad this is before the quarantine.
Just kicked into Boys to Men. Like,
just a man and a dog. So I respect all relationships. Not that guy, but it was just super cool. And I remember one time she brought beef jerky, and it was like, and she left, and by mistake she left the price on the beef jerky because she was like, people eat, and I was like, damn, she spent that much on beef jerky. She bought a bean bag thing for somebody. And, and I was just like, damn, she's so cool. And she can kill you with one, like, She put you in the rear naked and put you to sleep right there.
I don't know,
so
man.
cool.
I was smitten in Deadpool. When I saw she was just I was just like, I don't know. I was smitten, man. I was like, holy cow.
And the camera loves her.
Oh, yeah.
There was a shot that she was doing, and I got to see in video of, oh my gosh, I was like, oh wow, the camera loves her. And I could hear Jon Favreau say, the camera loves her. Like, it was a loving moment. Like, we all could see, I was like, they're going to make figurines after her. Like, like
you're damn right.
She's so awesome. She's badass. Like,
how's Favreau? Did you ever talk with Favreau? I know you don't necessarily need to because you have a stunt coordinator, but I mean, did you ever cross paths or?
Yeah, I did. Again, that's the beauty of being, whether you're an actor or a stunt performer, again, once you're in front of that camera, just like Chad Stahelski said it best, we're all acting.
Yeah.
And, there was notes he gave, it was like he wanted, when he was talking, because he was talking to everybody. He's like, this is the Western moment. This is like when you have this, and he's doing his thing. And I remember, I'm getting my gear ready, and, just that brief moment, he's like, you ready? Yes, sir. That was for me. And, and I got to have another moment where he was like, you guys can talk, you guys can move, say whatever, do whatever. And I had this moment where I was like, you know what? I'm going to improv. I'm going to do it. And I did this thing, and I got the best laugh because nobody saw that coming because I'm a big guy. And I was like, ah! And so, yeah, it was great. So, I made Favreau and everybody laughed. I was like, hey, did I? Yeah.
That's like awesome. A ticket, man. That's like a ticket in. You make somebody laugh, they'll remember you.
I heard that's a rumor. We'll see. We'll see.
Awesome. All right. Yeah. You can't talk about season 2.
There's nothing I can think of that I can say.
Just
not that I can think of.
No, nothing you can.
Okay. But I'm pretty sure from what I'm hearing, though, obviously it's going to be massive. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be better. It's going to be, it's going to be more fun. It's going to go deeper into the story. You're going to feel, and that's the one thing I like about Mandalorian. They did a great job of creating a world and that's incorporated with Star Wars, but it's still its own thing.
Totally.
And so you're curious to see Mando's journey. You're curious to see Griffith's journey. You're curious to see, Gina's journey. You're curious to see, like, the I can't think of the term right now in my brain, the opposing forces that be, and then you're curious about the youngling. You're trying to figure out what, we don't even know what gender it is. Like, is a guy, girl, we don't know. We just saw cloth. We have no idea. And, is this Yoda? Is this not Yoda? So there's so many posing questions that you're going to get to see. And so it's obviously there's going to be more. So I'm excited to see it because even when I worked on the first season, there was so much that I didn't see, because they're so secretive about, when, seeing what, because you only had a piece of this, you only had a piece of that, and it was colored this. And you're like, what am I looking at? And, you just have to trust the process. And then you're watching it for the first time and you're like, that's what I was a part of? Oh, that's how they tied that to that? That's so, cool. So I get to enjoy it just like you guys. So I know, with season 2, that should just be that much more about.
That's my question. How did you feel? I mean, you kind of touched on it, but how did you feel when you saw Mandalorian? Like, you watched the full episodes.
Yeah.
How did you feel, man?
I felt, honestly, I felt privileged. I cried.
Nice.
I teared up. And it wasn't just
we did too, but we weren't a part of it, but we cried anyway.
And that's the thing about Star Wars. Everyone's a part of it. Like, we all are a part of it. Like we go so in depth with these. We'll have debates, we'll have conversations, we'll do fan films, we'll write books, we'll do all these things because we are a part of it. The moment we saw it, we were all like, this is a part of us. It's a part of our childhood. It's a part of us growing up. It's like a catalyst for creativity. So it's like, seeing it for
that's a good statement. I like that.
Thank you. And it's only because, like, we all are. Like, Mando wouldn't have been what it was if Jon Favreau didn't want to write, if he didn't want to show run and put that idea out there and bring in other directors who also who have been touched by Star Wars and want to add to that story and add to the next generation and spark creativity and be in that space. I mean, to sit there and watch it, like, again, like I literally cried. Like I feel teary-eyed right now, like just to say I had moments and I was a part of it, to see your names in the credit, you know, and have that experience. Cool, yeah, it's like to wake up in the morning, like there was times like I couldn't even sleep and I'm hoverboarding to set and I'm hoverboarding past the other directors and, you know, having moments. I get to talk to Bryce. I mean, you know, she was awesome, you know, and I'm like, and I get to have a memory. Awesome.
Yeah.
She was. And that laugh, oh my gosh, that laugh, she does it for real. It's not even like a joke. It's like her thing.
It's a real laugh.
That's her real laugh. She was drinking water and I was like, I feel like you're doing a commercial right now. I was like, I'm thirsty. I wasn't thirsty before, but now I am. You know, it was it's an amazing experience, and I'm glad to be a part of it. I mean, just to be a part of it, like, look what it's brought me. It's brought me two cool individuals that I get to talk about Star Wars with, reminisce on my childhood. You know, like that's an amazing space to be in. Like, this is why to do entertainment. Like, this is amazing. This is amazing.
Well, speaking for both of us, thank you so much for hanging out with us here.
Thank you, guys.
Over an hour. And
Gene, you're freaking awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait to just to share your name with everyone.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're amazing, man.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.
And we're looking forward to chatting with you again.
Yeah, friend of the show. You can come on anytime you want.
Hey, man.
Anytime.
That's what's up.
It's for us. It's the best when people who are a part of things that we enjoy are also fans of what they're doing. So like the fact that you love Star Wars first and now get to be a part of it, like I think that's, anybody that loves Star Wars, that's a fantasy, it's like, man, and we get to live that through you now, getting to meet you and getting to know you a little bit and hearing how things look through your eyes and man, that is so cool for me that you're a fan of it on top of getting to contribute to it. So,
100%.
This has been awesome chatting with you, and I'm super thankful. And like Josh said, you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you for being gracious enough to chat with us for an hour and 20 minutes here. That was
time flew. I didn't even know. I didn't even realize until you said it. No, you guys are really awesome. I mean, again, to just be in this space, because a kid growing up where, I'm going to touch on this a little bit, being an African-American kid, growing up, and you didn't see a lot of representation in those spaces. You didn't see, it was like when I would talk to my cousins and about sci-fi fantasy, they're like, they couldn't fathom it because like, man, you don't see nobody. Like I don't, it's not my thing. It looks like you're saying something. I don't know.
It's poor Andy's video is so behind.
Okay, because it looks like behind. It looks like he's saying you owe me money. That's what this
really does. He's giving you the Here we go, Gene. I want you to finish that comment because this is a good one. There you go. You don't have to worry about Andy now. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's like you talking to me. You talking to me?
Yeah.
Say something. Again, to like be in that space growing up. Like I'm glad my mom was this person who always loved comics, and then she married someone who supported that dream to be in a space where, again, we're not always in that space. And if it is, it's like for a brief moment, even when, I said to Carl, I was like, I'm glad, and I knew he didn't die. And I was like, that was so cool that you didn't, because in a lot of times in a sci-fi or fantasy, the black dude lasts for like 2 seconds. It's like, but you're able to continue that journey or to have that conversation and or to say, I like Star Wars. I can say it out loud and it's not a weird thing. It's not like, who is this guy? It's like, oh, I get me too. Exactly. It's like, I can go anywhere and have this conversation, to say I was on the Orville and I played an alien and I love playing characters. Cause like, that's all I've ever wanted to do is to be transformed. I've never wanted to just live in a normal space and do regular things. I wanted to be in space. I wanted to hold a lightsaber, shoot a ray gun, dodge from explosions, like to be in that space and to share those moments. And then to be on a platform like this and talking about it, hopefully it's just as inspiring to the next person to say, if they could do it, so can I, or I can write it. Jon Favreau wrote it. Why can't I write it? You know, it's like, you know, you see a woman like Bryce and the other woman, I forgot her name, and she, you know, because she directed some of those episodes, and to hear her talk, and she was like, you know, this is that moment, and we're having conversation, and to be in that space, to be representation, and because we all love it, you know, and it's just to have that camaraderie and familyhood and brotherhood. It's like, it's a dream come true, man. Like, to spend it with you guys, whether it's an hour and 20 minutes or 5 seconds or, you know, Millennium Falcon years, like I'm happy to do it, you know? So thank you guys.
I don't know. Gene's my new favorite, man.
I know.
Well said.
Hey,
well
Gene,
said.
why don't you tell people where they can find you on social media and maybe plug an upcoming thing that you're a part of?
Yeah, tell us your projects, man.
Gotcha. Not a problem at all. So you can catch me. You can find me anywhere on Instagram, Facebook, SoundCloud, Gene, Gene _ Freeman, Freeman. No, I'm not related to Morgan Freeman. It'd be nice, you know, if we are related.
Junior.
Junior. I'm Junior to Carlos Jr. and Freeman Jr. You know, I'm in the middle. That's where you can find me on all those platforms. The most recent project that I am very proud to be a part of, thanks to Blumhouse and their series on Hulu, which is called Into the Dark. They have Puka Lives. I get to play a creature. And again, I love being able to be transformed into something. That is the most awesome experience. They brought me back a second time. I'm getting to do more stuff. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I would say go to Hulu, check it out. I am playing this creature, and the first half is me, and then the other half is another gentleman who gets to play, you know, being the creature. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
It looks freaking scary, man.
Scary.
That looks scary. It's called Puka Lives, right? Puka Lives.
Puka Lives. And, you know, it was a lot of fun. And that was an interesting thing on that. Shout out to the stunt coordinator on that, my agent who got me the bigger, better deal. Desi Nicole, you're awesome. There's a gag where I'm on a car and I had to sell it to the coordinator because they brought me in as an actor. And he was like, so you got this scene, but we'll have the double do the other one. I was like, whoa, what you mean the double? I was like, what's the gag?
You seen these forearms?
Yeah, you see, I can fall out of the chair right now and get back up, but I won't do it. You know, and he was just like, I had to really sell him that. And I'm glad I did, because that just shows that you just don't let anybody do anything just because you say you can. It's like, once he got a feel for me and we got to talk, we talked for like a good 45 minutes before he was like, okay. And then they harnessed me to the car and I do this gag, and I do this thing. It's really cool. There's a lot of fun. So Puka Lives.
Man. I'm checking it out.
Yeah, check that out. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
My youngest my oldest likes scary movies. So is that a good one for her?
Yeah,
she's 16. She's 16. So
I think that's good. I think that was fun. I think that's fun. I think
we're gonna do it for you, Freeman. We're doing it.
Thank you. And then, matter of fact, you gotta do a reaction and then tag me and I'll post it.
I'll do a reaction to win.
There we go.
You're on a car, right?
Yep, you cannot miss it. I'm big furry. I mean, with scissors, you can't meet.
I'm gonna do it. I'll do a reaction and tag you. She's good at reaction. She'll cry or something.
All right,
please do.
Gene, you picked up 2 big fans today.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. I feel like we could talk another hour here.
We probably could.
It's so hard to say goodbye to Gene Freeman. All right. Yes, bring it back around.
Take us out, Gene. Take us out, Gene. Little ditty.
All right, here we go. I'm going to do some NSYNC.
Here we go.
Whenever I'm weary, then tears fill your eyes. And all that surrounds you, my secrets and lies. And I'll be your strength, and I'll bring you home and give you that feeling that's gone. And never you run Yoda will be standing with open arms. And how will Yoda take it out? And I will take you in my arms. First I will. And hold you right where you belong. There you go.
Yoda!
You had to make some Yoda in that one.
All right. Oh, Gene Freeman, everyone. Gene Freeman.
Hey.
Fourth is strong with him. All right.
Thank you.
Oh, you're the best, man. All right. Well, thanks for joining us on the Holochronicles. Make sure you check out Gene Freeman. Holy cow. Thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Later.